How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about some more of my Shudder exclusive DVDs here. For those of you guys who don't know, Shudder is a streaming service that specializes exclusively in horror movies. Now that in and of itself is pretty cool, but there's another reason I like Shudder, and that's because they're pretty good about getting their exclusives out onto physical media for us physical media heads. Sadly, other streaming services aren't as good about getting physical media out, so gotta love Shudder for that. Gotta go and buy these to support them. We got some exclusives. Two of these are Shudder exclusives by the banner across the top. And then this one here we're going to be covering at the end, a Shudder original. Now I'm guessing the difference between exclusives and originals is exclusives is stuff the Shudder has bought the rights to stream and you can only find it there, but originals is stuff they made. I'm going to guess that's the difference, but yes, some of these will say exclusives, some of these will say originals, but I'm just going by anything that has a Shudder banner across the top. Now, if you go to stores, you'll see a few things with the Shudder sticker there, and I think that's just they're streaming on Shudder, but you know it's not an exclusive or anything. Anyway, let's just jump right in and look at these movies, and by a huge coincidence, these all happen to be foreign film this time, so that's fun. Get to see other parts of the world, other cultures, get to travel the world through film, and let's go to Australia first with the movie Boar. This movie, Boar, in the outback, no one can hear you squeal. A bloody good time from start to finish from Signal Horizon. And if we look at this cover here, I don't know how well it shows up on film. It's got some excellent embossing. The title and the boar face, you can really feel it. He's got all these little ruffles in him. It's pretty cool. This really graphic thing combined with this white, I do love this cover. But anyway, it's the Australian outback. There are, of course, wild boars there regularly, which are pretty big and tough animals. But after a bunch of animals and then people start to go missing, there's rumors of a wild boar way bigger than any other wild boar, like the size of a van or something, or bigger maybe. And it's starting to increase its territory into places where people are more likely to be found. So that is not good for the people. Overall, this is a pretty good creature feature. I mean, nothing revolutionary, but you don't really have to be as long as you're doing what you're doing well, you know. So yeah, we've seen creature features before, and this is another good one, even though it's, you know, nothing you have to absolutely run out and find. If you find it, if you see it, if you have Shudder, you might as well watch it if you're the creature feature fans. You get this boar, and it's primarily done through practical work. You can see they actually built a real giant boar head, and it's got some good practical gore effects, which I always do appreciate. Now, there's some CGI, like any shot where you see the whole boar and it has to be running around, obviously. That'd be really hard to do in practical, but for the most part, there is lots of good special effects in this movie. Cool kills with a giant boar. Now, I know there was a movie called Razorback that came out a bit ago, and people will probably draw comparisons between the two if they've seen it, which I haven't gotten around to seeing it yet. I'll put it on my list. But, I mean, hey, we had Jaws. Does that mean we can never do another shark movie? Nah. So, yeah, a good, fun, giant pig movie. You get kind of a weird thing with the plot where you get this guy and his family there, and they're going to see one of their relatives that lives out in the middle of the outback, and you go, okay, well, these are our main characters, right? Well, then it goes and focuses on this guy, an older country guy that lives in the outback, and it's like his movie for the first third of it, and then you're like, okay, so he's the main character, and then he gets pulled out of the plot, and it gets back to this other family, and you're like, oh, okay, they were the main character. So a little bit of a weird who's the star of this film type deal. But other than that, pretty fun. You do get to see the Australian countryside, the outback, and you do get to see the Australian culture, which is a little different than ours, especially when you look at their humor, much more direct and forward, and things that Americans probably wouldn't say. And it is good to see different ways that different people look at things, and you know, a different perspective. Anyway, front cover, slip it out. Inner cover is the same as the slip cover. There's the disc for Boar, again, like the outside cover. And there's the Shudder ad with Revenge, Channel Zero, and you got Mandy with Nicolas Cage there. And this code, try Shudder 30 at the bottom. That is not original to me. Every single one of these discs has try Shudder 30. So if you use it, you're not stealing anything from me. Don't worry about that. But there's the Shudder ad that they all have in them. So you're going to see that 2 more times this video. But overall, Boar is a fun creature feature. And moving on to the next one, The Nightshifter. The Nightshifter is a film I had a lot of fun with. It's a ghost movie. You see, you get this guy, he works at the night shift and the morgue, and it's a very crime-ridden city, so he gets lots of bodies coming in, lots of gangsters. So these gangsters die, but the twist is he can actually talk to the dead, and they do this really cool effect where when the dead talk, they record the people talking and moving their faces, and then they superimpose that onto a body that is not moving and is really still. So it's this really unnerving effect just seeing the face move and having the body be perfectly still. It's really creepy, like that uncanny valley that's in CGI so often. Using that intentionally was a really smart move. But anyway, he eventually finds out his wife is cheating on him, and he's also finding out a bunch of stuff from these gangsters, and he's like, maybe I can use this information for my own personal benefit. But of course, you can't break the rules of the dead, which would be cool if he knew what the rules of the dead were before he was breaking them. And he ticks off several ghosts, and he eventually gets haunted by these ghosts, and you do get some really cool Conjuring-esque stuff towards the end of this movie. Now, eventually it does focus more on the Conjuring-esque stuff than the talking to the dead point, which, you know, is its big unique thing, but it does get really big and really scary at the end, and you're like, oh man, this guy ticked off the wrong ghost, and it is pretty good. Overall, I was really surprised by the quality of this one. This one came out really good. I wish it would say the country of origin on the back. This is a Central American film, and there's one of the companies that worked on it, Brasil, so I'm guessing it's Brazilian. The language is Portuguese, so it may have come from Portugal. I'm not 100% sure. I really wish in these boxes it had a country of origin box. But anyway, a Central American film, so it is in Spanish. And you can change, or not Spanish, Portuguese, I just said it. And you can change language to that. The dubbing overall is actually pretty good for a dub. Except for the one voice, he has a young kid who's supposed to be kind of this tough boy, you know? But his dubbing, he's a little too squeaky, and it just doesn't quite work. I'm wondering if they, you know, try to speed up an actor's voice to make him sound more childlike, or just, I know sometimes they use woman for young boys. I don't know, it's a little too squeaky, a little too young for what the character is going for. But other than that, the dub is actually pretty good. Got the embossing along the main characters here. That's pretty cool in this painting-like cover. Cool to see a painting instead of a photograph with these ghost in the back. There's same thing for the undercover. And there's the disc again, same image there. Overall, a really fun and creepy movie. There's a Shudder ad. I definitely recommend this to, like, say, if you're Conjuring fans, if you like ghost movies, you know. Pretty pretty cool. Also, if you like where the Undertaker talks to the dead, there's a movie called Afterlife, After.Life, with what's her? Sorry. But anyway, it's where a mortician's talking to the dead, and it's pretty cool as well. So if you like that, you might want to check that one out as well. The last one we have here is a Chinese movie called Mon 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 Monsters. You get this guy, you see him on the back there, and he's accused of stealing class funds, stealing money from his school, and they find the money in his backpack, but he says he didn't do it. He goes to the bully characters and gets audio recording of them basically confessing to doing it and framing him. And he takes the evidence to his teacher and says, hey, I have evidence. I didn't really do it. These bullies did. And the teacher, who is the worst, this teacher character, oh my gosh. But the teacher says, hey, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't go out and seek revenge. It's bad karma. And I'm like, whoa, it's not karma. It's proving your innocence. So that really bugged me. But then on top of that, she goes, oh, it's just audio. It doesn't really prove anything. And I'm like, it does. But it frustrated me. But anyway, she reaches what she thinks of as a compromise. And she makes him go do community service, but she kind of forces the bullies into volunteering as well. So, he still has to do the community service, but they do as well. And it was kind of like, well, it's something, But anyway, they go and they help the elderly. But the bad thing is no one is supervising these kids. So it turns into a horrific scene of elder abuse. And it was really hard to, kind of watch because, they are really abusing these elders. But the thing is, they didn't play it for horror. They played it for comedy. And comedy like, hey, look how funny it is. We're abusing these elders. And that was a massive bad tone for that part of the movie. And yeah, the tone in this is off in a lot of parts. And if they had said, oh, look, this is horrific, I'd be like, well, it is. It's a horror movie. But the fact that they were going for comedy there, really didn't like that. But anyway, they find one of these old men has a big locked box. They think it's full of treasure, so they go back at night to try to steal it from him. And of course, it's just full of junk. But they meet these two vampire-like creatures. They capture one of them. The other, the older sister, gets away. And they start to test and torture and really become the monsters themselves when they see what they can do with this monster. So a bunch of unchecked bully people are torturing a monster, becoming a monster themselves. And I feel that when you get through these scenes, it really does start to, have the right tone where it's like, look how horrific this is. And it really, you do get to see this world there. And yeah, it did really build to something. And you see the older sister is not going to just leave her younger sister. And she's going to have a reign of terror on China until she can find her. And yeah, it's overall really, really cool. When it gets towards the end, it really does build to something. But the tone and the teacher, and you get to see like this kid gets pulled further and further into joining this essentially gang, all because of the path the teacher set him down. And that is just so there are a few parts in this movie that are hard, but it really does build to something, and you really get invested, and you really want to know what happens next towards the end. So I'd recommend sticking it out past the hard parts. Now this one is Chinese, so there is a dub, and I know a lot of people be like, oh, I should do subtitles, but I feel like when I'm reading subtitles, I can't focus on the shot compositions and, the acting and stuff, so I always go dubbing, but the dub in this one is pretty bad. A lot of the characters' voices just don't match their expression, like they should be much angrier, and they're, you know, lighter. They're trying to do more kid voices, but overall I really didn't like the dub on this one, so fair warning with that. Anyway, open it up again, you get original disc art. That's the image from the back where she's making the heart, Mon 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 Monsters, and the Shudder ad. Anyway, that's the last one, Mon 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 Monsters. Anyway, so overall these are all a step up from the first Shudder volume that I did. These movies are all pretty good. I think Nightshifter is the best. Mon 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 Monsters has some really cool stuff in it, but also some big flaws. And Boar is just a good, fun creature feature. Anyway, I had to put the dog out because he was messing with the shot, so he is really wanting back in right now. So I gotta go attend to that. He's been out like 10 minutes. He's a little baby sometimes. But anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I do about 95% horror on here, so if that sounds like something that interests you, I definitely recommend sticking around. Anyway, I'll put a relevant playlist down at the bottom. Should be my Shudder playlist. Anyway, have a good day, and I'll see you guys again very, very soon.